Thank you for joining us for our coping skills series, where we're going to talk about coping skills to help you as you're dealing with grief. Today we're going to talk about the importance of writing as a coping skill. And whether you journal, that means just you get some sort of writing material, whether you want to journal on your computer or get an old-fashioned leather-bound or hardcover journal that you choose to capture your story. And the benefits of writing is that it can be very soothing because there's so many different emotions that you're experiencing while you're going through grief. There are questions that you have, there are feelings that are being felt, there are memories that you want to preserve. There are new thoughts, new questions that show up for you that you want to think through, that you want to reflect on. And writing has the ability to allow you to have a safe space to capture your thoughts and capture your thoughts in the moment as they happen before you decide to change them or correct them or question them. Writing can contain your pure, unfiltered thoughts. And how that's helpful is we need time to be able to get those thoughts out. There are some things that we feel but we're afraid to say, and writing allows you to feel it and to say it, but say it in a place where you feel safe enough to do so, where you're not worried about someone else looking at it or someone else judging it, or even yourself judging it and therefore erasing it and not putting it down or not thinking about it again. And one of the things that many people struggle with when they're going through grief is that it's hard to capture your thoughts, it's hard to concentrate because you're still experiencing the grieving process. And as you're doing that, your mind is being selective on what to keep and what to let go so that you can have the mental energy and the strength to make all the many decisions that you have to make in times of grief. And so having time in your schedule, in your day, where you just get to write about what you feel, what you think, where you are at the moment, is a great way to begin to feel like you're taking back control of your day. And when you're in your house alone and it feels like the noise of silence is deafening, when you take on writing, whether you're typing it on the computer or you can even do voice to speech to text so that you can capture your writing. Whether you're doing it in whatever format, it is very calming, very relaxing, and it helps to sort out some of those stressful thoughts. And it even gives you a place to park some of those thoughts that you're having, but you're not sure what to do with. And so if you're wondering, okay, well, maybe I'll try writing down some of my thoughts, my feelings, and my questions. The other step that you can take in the healing process is to write a letter to your loved one. And so that if there's something that you want to say to them, that you want to share with them, and even though you don't have them right by your side, the act of writing that letter is the act of capturing the moment, capturing the memory, capturing the experience, and expressing it out. Because oftentimes it's a greater pain of grief in that we have so much to say, so much that we felt that was left unsaid and nowhere to say it. And so sometimes in just capturing it in the writing a letter to your loved one, it helps you to feel like you had a chance to let out that thought, that statement, that shared experience, so that you can preserve it forever. And so I want you to consider writing as a tool for coping. If you're still processing the news, if you're still processing the many feelings that you're having and you're early in your grieving process, writing and journaling down your thoughts, it doesn't have to be organized, doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be linear. It could just be thoughts in a circle, thoughts in a pattern, or thoughts as a letter. However you want to jot that down, you might come back to it later on in the grieving process and see your progression and notice what were some of your thoughts in the beginning versus your thoughts in the middle and then your thoughts presently. And it's interesting to reflect on those, to watch and see your growth in your writing process. And consider, even if you're having a positive day, and you have time to really say, what would I say to my future self, right? Consider writing a letter to your future self. What would you say to yourself as a friend? What would a friend tell you about what you're going through right now? Consider writing a letter from a friend. That is basically you encouraging yourself. And then if you want to capture the memories of your loved one, consider writing down what were some of our best days. And when there's times where you want to think about them and you want to remember them in the most positive way, write down some of your best memories. Write down some of the challenges that the two of you together had weathered and that you're proud of. Write that down. Capture those moments, because now you're turning thoughts of pain into thoughts of beauty, thoughts of memories that will last to eternity, because you're solidifying that memory. You're remembering it again, and then you're writing it down on paper. Write the love story, how you and your partner met. Write down your love story, so that you can preserve that feeling. Because every time you talk about how the two of you met, you'll notice that there was a smile that showed up, that there was a positive feeling. There was some laughter maybe around how you two met, whether you two met and you were instantly in love, not in love, it took a while. Even writing down the story is going to help you to remember some details and to find yourself breaking through some of those tough emotions and getting to some of the good ones and preserving it in that moment. If you find that you're having trouble sleeping due to grief, well, maybe think about having a journal next to your bed, and those times that you're having trouble sleeping, instead of just laying in the bed being frustrated, think about writing about what would you say to your loved one right now? What are your feelings? What are your thoughts? And then sometimes we have dreams and we're trying to capture that dream so we can understand what our brain is processing. And so having a journal near your bed, or opening up the note pad in your phone and just voice dictating the dream that you had, the thoughts that you have, the things that are keeping you awake, gives you something to reflect on, to process later on, or to even take into counseling and process with your therapist what you're thinking about, dreaming about. What is the place that you're at in your grieving process that you may want to work through. If for those of you who have been in therapy, sometimes you have so much to say to your therapist and then you get to the appointment and you forget the things that you wanted to bring to therapy. So this would be a way of jotting down some of those things and remembering them and bringing them. Or just if you're in part of a grief support group and you want to remember some things to bring up in the next group, this will help you to jot that down. And so, there are many writing prompts out there that you can find to give you ideas about what to write if you want to capture your thoughts. But those specific to grief would be telling the story of how you met, the story of your loved one, the story of their life, and then telling, the story of how they impacted you, and then telling the story about how you are different because they were in your life, and telling the story of the future you want to create with their memory in mind, with the lessons and the life teachings that you have been given through having experienced life with them, that you want to carry into the future. So journaling can have many positive effects, whether you're just trying to write down what's on your mind right at this moment, whether you're writing about the struggles or your love story or your lessons learned, or a letter of encouragement to your present self, to your future self, or maybe a letter of healing and a letter that you're proud of yourself based on your past and all the things that you've endured. So consider writing as a way of helping you through the grieving process. It will certainly help you do the 3 things that I always remind you of: to remember, to recover, and recreate your life. You can take up a journal and write, what are the things I want to remember? What are the things that if I can create anew, right, how would that be created differently? Right? And what are the things that I want to make sure I recover, that I don't want to lose, that I want to hold on to the pieces, even if they're the broken pieces of my life, but they're broken pieces that can be put together to make something beautiful. And so I encourage you to write, whether you write physically with your hands, you type it out, or you use a voice to text and you speak it out. Get the emotions, the thoughts, the stories, the encouragement out on to something that is permanent, that you can reflect on, that you can grow from, that you can learn from, that you can use as part of your self-reflection and healing process. So again, I want to encourage you to remember, recover, and recreate your life. Thank you for joining me. I'm Gessy Martinez.